Are we live, boys?
Yeah, we are live.
What is up, ankle pickers? It's so good to see y'all.
Live from Houston, Texas, Marriott Marquis, just a few doors down from the Toyota Center. We're looking over at Minute Maid Park, the Fighter Hotel, which we thought was here, just to our left. But we are pumped. We are pumped. We got Jepson's Malort on the show. We got Jepson's Malort on the shirt.
The bag arrived. Our sponsor delivered. We are a Malort podcast, and that's how it's been from the beginning. It was always a Malort
for
podcast.
Two-handed drinkers, right?
For two-fisted, two-handed,
something. We'll work on that for next time.
Multiple hands, multiple punches, fists, gloves, all that stuff. We're here.
All right, let's not waste too much time. Let's get into our cards for UFC 271. We're going to structure this the same way that we did the last live. We're going to go through the cards up and down, kind of our notes based on what we talked about on the pod. And then we're going to finalize our cards. Hopefully Reese will join us here. We're not going to hold out necessarily hope, but rooting for him. And we'll see from there. So, top of the prelims. First fight on the prelim card, 5 p.m., probably closer to 6 realistically, Central Time.
Yeah, now especially with the Schnell-Perez fight being canceled, I expect the start time to be moved back like half an hour. Just plan your clocks accordingly.
So, we have a new curtain jerker. It is William Knight versus Maxim Grishin. William Knight missed weight by 12 pounds.
12 full pounds.
If you saw Danny on Twitter, he had a cool, funny reaction to it, so go check that out. But Dan, just talk to us a little bit about how that impacts the fight. It's now being fought at heavy. What's your takeaway here?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I saw that Dan, another handicapper on Twitter that I've exchanged with before, pulled out the history of every time a fighter has missed by more than 10 pounds, and it is 6 for 6, all losses. It's generally a really bad sign. I really can't explain missing by that much. He did take it on short notice. I'm not trying to say, like, oh, this is a huge red flag on who he is as a fighter or anything. Like, taking a fight on short notice and trying to cut weight healthily is almost an impossible sentence. That's like, it just doesn't work.
And he's a Grishin's a minus 165 favorite here. So that sounds about right. You see yourself playing Grisham at all?
I do see myself playing Grishin. I'm going to have a 1-unit play on him. Real small, but I favored Grisham going into this at light heavyweight, even if they made weight. It's just a really, really huge red flag that he's missing by this much. And you look at the Alex Perez miss, and there's a good reason Schnell didn't accept that fight. It almost felt like a planned miss. He came in, he weighed in really early, like right when the weigh-in started. He missed by 2 pounds. And I don't even think he went to cut afterwards or further. I think it was more a planned weight bully kind of move than this William Knight thing. I don't see 12 pounds of difference being anything strategic. I almost think he might be injured. I don't know. It's crazy.
Blood Diamond, Jeremiah Wells, second fight on the card. Blood Diamond's a guy, City Kickboxing. We don't know a whole lot about. He only has 3 professional fights, but he's 3-0 against Jeremiah Wells, who it sounded like from the pod you and Reese were both leaning towards. So what's your take there?
Yeah, the line is a little bit aggressive. I still think I'm going to play this for a unit.
It's Wells minus 220 is what I'm seeing right now.
Right. Blood Diamond, as excited as I am for his debut and having Izzy in the crowd when he's fighting that night is going to be really weird during the first couple of fights. But what I saw from his regional tape and from his kickboxing career was not the same that I saw from Izzy or from Alex Pereira or from Carlos Olberg. He is unorthodox. He's going to hit you from places that you're not expecting. But I don't think he's going to, he's just not as defensively sound as all these guys. I don't think he's going to be able to make the transition to MMA as seamless as we've seen a lot of other kickboxers make it. I'm a little worried. I'm not trying to play this majorly because Izzy is talking a lot about how impressive Blood Diamond looks and how Eugene Behrman is saying that at this point in their career, Blood Diamond's a lot further along than Izzy was. From what I've seen, and that's what I tend to bet on from what I see, he's just not as impressive as a kickboxer as these other guys.
Morozov was one of your earliest plays this week. You got on him at least a few days ago, even before we recorded the podcast on Thursday. Talk to us about why you got in on that early bantamweight bout against Douglas Silva de Andrade.
Yeah, that one of the early plays that I made was, I guess, the least strategic of them all. I don't expect that line to steam too much past 210. Kobe, you can correct me if it has.
220 right now.
Okay. But it's I still love the value there. I really see Morozov getting caught as the only way Douglas is going to win this fight. Morozov has a really great grappling advantage. He's got the striking skills and mainly the defense to stay safe here. And I just think that wherever this fight goes, he's going to be really comfortable. I also favor his gas tank. Douglas is just going to be kind of looking for a kill shot for 15 minutes, and I don't think he's going to get it.
AJ Dobson, Jacob Malkoon, middleweight bout. This one's dead even both ways, minus 110. Seems like a good spot to, if you have a lean, make a smart play. That wasn't the case when we talked on Thursday. Is that still the case?
Yeah, it's still the case. This is one I won't be playing. Malkoon's a training partner of Bobby Nux. He was a huge dog versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan and showed off his grappling there. He clearly has the ability to subdue major power from his opponents and kind of use that pressure wrestling system to be a wet blanket and win rounds. I don't know that he's UFC caliber yet. I am really struggling, and AJ Dobson, it being his debut, I'm struggling to find an edge here, and so I'll be laying off for that reason.
Fair enough. Smart to know when to lay off just as well as it's smart to know when to play. There's a song about that, Kenny Rogers.
That's just what I was thinking.
Mana Martinez is a sizable dog against Ronnie Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie Lawrence, and Dan, I think that you had a play on this one as well.
Yep,
go ahead.
This is one I mentioned to be a little bit apprehensive of on the podcast, but as of the weigh-ins yesterday, Ronnie Lawrence looked phenomenal. He looks strong. I know he had a lot of trouble on the scale. I think it was versus Steven Peterson or his last fight. It doesn't really matter who he was facing. But he had a lot of trouble at weigh-ins, and that was the big red flag that I was looking at.
Cachero.
Okay. And yesterday, seeing him on the scale, he looks phenomenal. He's winning inside the distance. I'm moving in on that play, plus 210 as of this morning. I love it. I think Ronnie Lawrence has the grappling to just get this to the mat and hammer away at Mana Martinez, who we said when he made his debut is borderline UFC caliber.
Olberg against Fabio Charant, another one that Danny had an early play in this week. Talk to us about that. And actually, before we get there, we have now moved into the prelims, past the early prelims.
Fuck yeah. This was one I had keyed as a big mover throughout the week. Olberg looked really impressive. He's a guy that when I'm talking about having this kickboxing pedigree that looks just phenomenal on tape, he's got it. He's sharp. He's good footwork. He has the power to really bring it. And I just don't, like, you look at his game plan in the fight where he lost to, I'm blanking again. But you look at his game plan there and you see him landing like 180 significant strikes in the first 7.5 minutes. And I don't know about y'all listeners, but I've hit a heavy bag for 5 minutes in a row, and I get fucking tired. Like, there's just no way he needed to throw that many strikes, and he was winning the round handily. I think he's a lot sharper than Fabio Charant. I think that Fabio's got to grapple him, and I don't think he's going to be able to. I love Olberg a lot, I saw it earlier in the week at minus 200 and knew it was going to move and needed to grab that value when I could.
Kyler Phillips, another sizable favorite over Marcelo Rojo. Dan was at the weigh-ins yesterday, and Marcelo Rojo looked really good for, 135 is where this one's being fought?
Oh, yeah.
But Rojo is a natural 145. His last few fights were at 145. So talk to us about that. Is there a spot to play the dog there?
There could be. Reese mentioned that this would be the first fight in Kyler's career, probably, that he's not at a huge size disparity. And Kobe said it right then. You looked at the weigh-ins, you look at their face-off, and Kyler looks like the smaller fighter. He looks like it's going to be a little bit tougher for him to implement the grappling game plan that I expect out of him, where his big advantages are. But I say it all the time, styles make fights. Kyler's already fought this fight versus Song Yadong, just at a little bit quicker of a striker, same kind of great boxing, good combos, good counters. And I don't think that he's going to have too much trouble having to solve the puzzle of Marcelo Rojo, since it's so similar to the Song Yadong puzzle that he solved.
Casey O'Neill, 8-0 professionally, big favorite in the retirement fight of Foxy Roxy. Is there a way to play this one, or is this just you're paying the price of admission to be in the building?
I don't think I'm the right guy to ask about this, which sucks because I will only play Roxy in this spot. Casey O'Neill is probably going to smoke her. These girls are on completely different career trajectories. Roxy's admitted this is her last fight of her career. She's laying it down the gloves regardless of win or lose. That's obviously got to be a little bit emotionally draining, while Casey is absolutely looking to knock off a legend here and put that on her resume. Casey's really skilled. I made a case on the podcast for why there's a chance that Roxy could do this, and it's all based on kind of just, I won't say pressure wrestling, but controlling the cage and really clinch moments and whatnot, but she's just not as athletic as Casey, and I don't see this going well for her, and I will be sad when it doesn't.
The last fight of the prelims before we get to the main card, Andrea Arlovsky, Jared Vanderaa, heavies. Yeah, we know what this storybook is, right? It's heavies that are kind of gross, that, it's hard to cap in the first place. Is there a lean here?
I think there was a lean. I think it's gone away now. You look at the opening line, and you look at where the line is right now, and the only way you can play this fight is if you love Andrei Arlovsky here, and I tend to think that he's going to have his string of over 40 victories. His victories at age 40 and above, I think, is going to come to a close here. Jared's he's a different striker than the Tanner Bozers and the Chase Shermans that Andre has fought in this run. I don't think that Jared's going to stand in front of Andre the same way that these other guys have and allowed him to really have the maximum output and score more points than any of his opponents have and just kind of be up on the scorecards going to 3. I think Jared's going to hurt him, and I don't like it at plus 130 here. I really don't. I think that if you jumped on it early, you're golden. I love that bet. That would be my favorite bet of the card if I had jumped on it early, but I didn't, and so I can't comfortably play this one. If you want to play this one, I think the only value side is on Andrei Arlovsky with the way that this line moved.
We see some action in the background, and Parker's getting ready for some Jepsons, and a fancy little glass there from where we are.
And we're reacting live
Marriott,
to City
Marquis
scoring their 4th goal, 4-0 on Norwich. Never a doubt.
Man, this is the beauty of live content here, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
This is the first time most of us have been together.
Yeah, we've recorded from a lot of different spots in the country, and this is one of the first times that we're all together in one screen. So
Omaha, Dallas, Austin, Chicago, Milwaukee,
Colorado.
Oh, yeah. Fucking everywhere.
Well, that brings us to the main card, 271. I mean, if you can't feel the energy now, just wait. I mean, we've got 5 awesome fights here. Really competitive fights. I'm
looking at myself here in this live. I've got the biggest smile on my face, and I just can't get it off. I'm so excited to be here, guys.
We've been amped all day. A lot of traveling.
And it's been a longer day for some of us than others.
We're here.
Parker's day started in a gym about 10 hours ago.
Well, Southwest had to cancel flights, so.
But we're here. We made it, and we're here in time for a live show. How about that?
What? Yes.
Main card, first fight on the main card, Bobby Green and Nasrat Haqparast. This is being fought at 155. Bobby Green, your favorite, coming in at minus 150. We talked about it on the pod. Danny thinks he likes Bobby Green here. It's not a great read. You kind of don't have a great read on Bobby Green in general, is what he came to. So Reese did mention that he liked over 2.5. And that had a plus number on it, I believe.
No, it's a big minus. It's a minus 220. Reese and Johnny the Greek were both talking about that line this week. You're looking at the last 4 times Bobby Green has fought, fight goes to decision has been like minus 400. And so there is a substantial amount of value at that minus 220. It's not my favorite play, and so I don't think it's going to be on my card, but it's what I expect to happen. I think this is going to be a war. I don't think either of these guys are going to get the finish. I'm not worried about either of their jiu-jitsu. I don't think either of them have crazy power that I have to be on pins and needles, or that anyone should have to be on pins and needles if you're taking that over. And there probably is value there. It's just, to me, not my favorite number.
So is that no play?
That's a no play for me, but it is like a mark that fight down and stay. You're going to be on the edge of your seat. This is going to be an exciting fight. These guys are going to throw. It's just, I'm more excited for the fight than I have any read, and so I won't be playing.
I'm going to play the 125. We're here. We're betting.
You're playing Nazareth?
No, I'm actually playing the plus 125. Fight ends in the final round or goes to decision.
Ooh,
Really?
that is an interesting line.
If that's available, I'm also taking that. But that's like betting it under. It's like rooting for nonviolence.
Well, it's just rooting on an over 2, really.
Right. Over 2, you're saying, is plus 125?
Fight ends in final round or goes to decision is plus 125.
What book?
This is our best fight odds.
We're on Best Fight Odds. Wow, we got some producer delay, but we want to hop on this if possible.
Yeah, this is a line
Caesars?
I'm attracted to.
It's on Caesars. The Caesars app?
Not in Texas, we don't.
But
It's available. We'll find someone.
we will find someone to place it on Caesars for us. That's a line I like. Over 2 in this fight at plus money. We were just talking about minus 220 for
Right,
over
2.5.
over 3.
Right.
That's a line. If
right.
you can get that, that's a fucking line.
Stay posted there. Next fight on the main card, another 155er. Alexander Hernandez and Renato Moicano. Moicano's coming in as a favorite, minus 160, where it's at right now. What we talked about on Thursday is really this fight could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much that it's a great read, it's the kind of conflicting styles. You got a wrestler in Hernandez, you got a grappler in Moicano. If this one goes to the ground, it'll be interesting to see which one outweighs the other. My question is there, if it's really a toss-up, can go either way, why not play the dog?
That is a good question. I tend to think that Reese will argue with me on this point, but I tend to think that just pressure wrestling doesn't cut it, and especially when you're facing someone that's got the sweeps and got the jiu-jitsu off their back, it's just not a great stylistic matchup for Alexander Hernandez because what he wants to do plays into Moicano's hand, like Kobe said. But we also did get a little bit of extra hype yesterday during the ceremonial weigh-ins when Hernandez tried to shake Moicano's hand, and Moicano just stared him down. Was like, "Fuck no, I'm not touching your hand." So I do think that we're going to get some fireworks early in that fight because there's just an added level of disrespect.
Awesome. Another one that we're excited for, not necessarily a dead-on play, but another exciting fight. Third fight on the main card, in Parker, cue the music. We've got our ankle lock spot here. So whatever your noise that you're going to make live is going to be what our ankle lock noise of the week is.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Jared Cannonier, Derek Brunson at middleweight 170. We're on Cannonier. It was minus 152 earlier in the week. It's looking like minus 160 is the best line we can get right now. Ankle lock that regardless. Dan, tell us why. Brunson, Actually, before you tell us why, let me set you up a little bit. Brunson's been the dog and won each of his last few fights. Why is this the different situation?
The main difference I'm seeing here, you look at those matchups, and the root of this is Cannonier's takedown defense. It's phenomenal. He is athletic enough that even when he gets taken down, he's not down very long. You looked at the Robert Whittaker fight. I think that Robert maybe had like 3 seconds of control time because Jared just kept popping up. I don't think that Brunson's going to be capable to use this same style that he's won the last 5 fights in. And I just look at him in those 5 fights. He gets tagged in every single one. If this fight stays standing for 15 minutes, I am so confident on Jared. And I'm confident that if we're going to go back and forth with mat returns and whatnot, Cannonier's just more athletic and will not allow himself to be wet blanketed the way Kevin Holland did and the way that Edmund Shabazian did in the second round. And I also just think that Cannonier's a better striker than those guys. Probably not Darren Till, but that fight he came in with MCL and ACL damage. It was just bad situation for trying to get off your back. It's like worst possible maybe, except for maybe having like a broken arm.
So that ankle lock is 2-1 in 2022 for a net positive 6.68 units.
Then that being a 5-unit bet every week.
5-unit bets every week. So the minus 160, I don't know off the top of my head, but that'll get us, what, about 3 units, give or take?
I'm going for the big bang here. Taking Cannonier decision plus 375.
Plus 375.
Pico props, baby.
It's a 3-round bout, so only 15 minutes to get that decision. I like it.
The older fans of the Ankle Pick Pod will remember the hot streak that Parker's props went on And we will.
About this time last year.
Right. We will. There's a reason that our boy's cooking over here with all these big numbers, because he's good.
Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa is heavyweight co-main. We spent almost no time talking about this one on our main episode on the pod. Not because we're not excited about it, because it's kind of a hard one to predict.
It's weird. There's just not a lot to say. These are really fun fighters. It's two guys that, I'm talking a lot about the ceremonial weigh-ins. I don't think Tai Tuivasa has ever walked into a room and been booed until yesterday. He's just a really fun guy to root for. He's a really fun fighter. These guys are going to walk up and punch each other in the face. They said it during the press conference, like, oh, we going to bang? Like, then let's bang then. And I think that, I know Reese was looking at the over 1.5, but I don't think this is one to play the over. I think these guys are going to go out there and fucking hit each other.
That over 1.5 was plus 155 when we were talking on Thursday. Just a very exciting fight. I think we can leave it at that. Very excited for it. I think I'm going to find myself on Tai Tuivasa.
I'm also on him, plus 250. It's that
It's interesting because I don't hold him in the same light as I hold Derek Lewis right now, even though their skill sets are
To be fair, Derek Lewis was fighting a title fight his last time out, right?
Right, here in this building. Right. And that's also worth saying. Derek Lewis is 1-1 in his last 2 fights in the Toyota Center, but the Ilir Latifi fight was a Houston judges fight. It was he lost that fight. He's not been at his best black beast level. It's in Houston. He mentioned it during the build up to this fight. There was a lot of during the build up to the Cyril Gane fight, the title fight that he had in Houston. He was mentioning how the pressure was getting to him a little bit, and I don't know if that's just a Houston thing, because I've been in the room twice and he's kind of looked flat, but I won't doubt.
Parker mentioned the Tai Tuivasa by knockout plus 250. I have written down, and we hadn't quite hit this question in particular, but my question was, as exciting as this one is, if you're backed into the corner and wanted to play it smart, is the right way to play it Lewis by decision or Tai Tuivasa by knockout?
I think the right way to play it is the under, and I know that's
conflicting with Reese,
right? But I think that these guys are going to go and fucking knock each other's heads into the 6th row. I'll be trying to catch one of them when it flies out of the octagon.
Because you'll be so close on the floor. Keep an eye out for Dan's Bruce Buffer jacket and Malort shirt underneath. It's quite a look, and we just can't wait for it.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the fight we're all really here to see. We've got a middleweight title bout, Izzy Adesanya, Robert Whittaker.
A couple of years in the making, too. This rematch is the top level of middleweight mixed martial arts, maybe of all time.
Yeah, we got a title on the line. At the end of the day, when we're talking through this on the pod, we have one of the biggest Izzy fans I know in Danny. Reese is one of the biggest Bobby Nux fans, and both of them kind of agree that the smart money at this price tag is on Bobby Nux, which is tough, especially for somebody like Danny who's a big Izzy guy. So I guess before you tell us where you're leaning on the play, because I know it's tough for you as an Izzy fan to, not say Izzy automatically, talk us through what the perfect game plan is for Bobby Nux. How does he come out on top in this fight, if he does so?
Yeah, the only way, everyone's talking about how in that first fight the game plan was wrong. So the game plan has to be different to me. He has to come out way more patient. I think he has to come out and have less in and out movements. I think he has to come out and really manage his distance better and not get countered the way he did and was getting tagged with those hooks. I think we'll see some calf kicks from him maybe, which is tough to calf kick Izzy, but I think he's going to try and get inside and grapple and clinch up against the fence and win minutes like Bobby Nux knows how to do. It's a tough spot because of how we're seeing Izzy develop his game. We're seeing him recognize the huge holes in the grappling and go to Andre Galvao's gym and really work with the elite of the elite in terms of jiu-jitsu until he gets his blue belt. And he's talking about how he's going back to older Izzy mentality when he was just eager to learn and really soaking everything in for this fight. And the air around it just feels like he's going to put on another dominant performance. I just don't see it being 70-75% of the time he puts on this dominant performance. And I don't think that it's really possible or realistic at all to repeat the crazy domination that he put on in that first fight. It was really dope, and it was on the midst of everyone saying he had no knockout power and he was a decision merchant, and whatever. He showed up that night. I think he's going to show up again. I just don't see any value there at that price tag. The way I expect this fight to play out is that it takes a couple of rounds, but Izzy wins on the feet and is able to get to his feet when he's taken down to win at least 3. I just don't. I think this is going to be a way closer fight than the first time around. It's really what I'm trying to say. And it's based on a completely new game plan from Robert Whittaker because he has to. He just has to.
Yeah, I don't want to go against you here. I'm not. I'm taking Izzy. I think it's going to be kind of the same thing it was last time, round 2 or 3.
Wow.
Obviously, having the odds of plus 800, plus 900 is in my mind there, but I'm definitely going to go big.
Definitely.
Sprinkle those.
We saw it play out that way, so not a bad bet at all.
So let's go rapid fire. I know we went. That's all the fights on the card. We're gonna rapid fire and just get your plays. So are you ready to roll with those? Yep. First fight: William Knight, Maxim Grishin.
I'm on 1 unit, Max Grishin, minus 167.
Minus 167 Grishin. Jeremiah Wells, Blood Diamond.
I am 1 unit on Jeremiah Wells, 220.
Minus 220 Wells. Sergey Morozov, Douglas Da Silva de Andrade.
This is where the big units come out. I've got a couple 3-unit plays coming. The first is on Sergey Morozov at minus 210.
Minus 210 Morozov. That was placed a little earlier in the week, but you can still get it minus 220. Dobson, Malkoun, it sounded like that was a pass for you.
That's a layoff for me. That's one I hope gets a bonus. I think these guys will put on a show. I don't know. If Malkoun is able to just grapple, it might be a little bit of a downer fight. But AJ Dobson is a prospect that I'm not so crazy high on, but is very exciting. He's a guy that could go out there and really make a name for himself, a la Terrence McKinney.
Ronnie Lawrence, inside the distance. That was plus 210, right?
Yep, I've got...
against Mana Martinez.
Yep, against Mana Martinez. Lawrence, inside the distance, plus 210. Ground and pound or the sub will be there.
1 unit?
Yep, 1 unit.
Carlos Olberg, Fabio Charant.
Another one I got a little bit earlier. I'm on 3 units. Olberg minus 200.
Kyler Phillips, Marcelo Rojo.
Pass for me. Very excited to see how Kyler deals with being the smaller guy in the octagon for the first time.
Casey O'Neill, Roxy.
Another one I got to pass, but man, do I want to play the woman's dog here.
Excited to be in the building. Andrei Arlovsky, Jared Bandera.
This is one I've looked at, and I really want to bet Jared. I just can't bring myself to do it the way that the line is moved. I think that Jared is going to win this. It's a pass.
Bobby Green, Nasrat Haqparast.
Another pass, just a really exciting fight. One that I've starred as just being one of the more exciting fights that is on this card.
Nasrat, message me on Instagram. I want to collab with you.
Fuck yes. We are teasing now a future Nasrat interview, maybe. I just found out about this live, baby.
That's the beauty of live content. Alexander Hernandez, Hinata Moicano.
Yeah, another one that I'm excited for just because of the added kind of level of disrespect that I mentioned. No play for me.
Cannonier is our ankle lock, minus 152 earlier in the week, 60 now. What's your units?
Yeah, we've got 60, 3 units.
3 units, Cannonier. Louis Taituavasa.
I won't be playing this one. I'm just going to enjoy being in the arena. I like the under 1.5. I really do think this doesn't get out of the first round. I genuinely do.
And finally, your play on Izzy Bobby Nux.
It's the over 3.5. Sorry to contradict your prop, Parker, but I have to assume that Robert Whittaker has a completely different game plan and that it involves being really patient. And I think Izzy won't throw caution to the wind. He's going to be really patient too because he wants this for his legacy.
What was the over 3.5 line?
It's minus 143 earlier in the week. I think I saw it at like minus 180 today.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's all the content we have for you from a live perspective. Dan, are you going to match the Jepson shot?
I guess I should.
We owe the listeners, and we owe Reese. We wish Reese was here for it, but I'm sure he'll watch later.
Fuck this. Kobe, why do you like to remind me?
That's a heavy pour. Shout out our great sponsors at Jepson's Malort, by the way. We really appreciate all the merch they sent us. This is for you guys, the listeners.
Oh, this is a heavy pour. I fucked this up.
Too bad. That was so sad.
Can I grab my water? I need like a chaser. I might.
Where's your?
I either need a bucket or a chaser.
There's a bucket right there.
All right, just in case. This could be banned from YouTube for some puke.
Puke
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I'm just making shit up.
Where's your water refill?
It's
There you go.
somewhere.
I got you.
All right. This is a shot of malort that I owe for backing Brian Ortega in the tough season. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that.
Boys, we ready? Are we ready?
Let's fucking go.
Oh, ha!